The Paleoproterozoic begins on June 14th and ends around August 23rd. This is the longest period of time in the geologic timescale. The first of two major glaciation events that took place in the Proterozoic happened at the beginning of the Paleoproterozoic and would last about 35 million years. The introduction of oxygen into the atmosphere by the newly evolved photosynthetic organisms would have several implications. One, which would be the decrease of methane levels in the atmosphere. What does methane do for us? Well, it keeps us warm. It's a greenhouse gas. So what happens if it goes away? Well, it'll get cold. As the oxygen was released into the atmosphere, the excited atomic oxygen reacted with water, forming hydroxyl radicals, which oxidized the methane, forming carbon dioxide and water. Methane traps 84 times more heat per mass unit than carbon dioxide. So carbon dioxide is preferential to methane, but without enough methane, the Earth will cool. And that's what happened. Methane levels fell so low due to the newly introduced atmospheric oxygen, cooling of the planet was initiated, creating the first snowball Earth. The initial introduction of free oxygen would also set off a biologically induced devastation to Earth's early organisms, which is referred to by many names, but we will just go with the oxygen catastrophe. Technically, mass extinctions are defined by the loss of biodiversity, meaning many different species. So, because early Earth did not have biodiversity, the major decline of these organisms is not considered an extinction event. Remember, organisms up to this point were anaerobic, meaning they were harmed by the presence of oxygen and they did not need it to live. So while we view oxygen as a good thing, it was very bad for these early organisms. Oxygen levels would continue to increase in our atmosphere due to ongoing photosynthesis. About 2.5 billion years ago, cells started ingesting or eating other cells. Similar to you eating something that you don't normally eat, the potential outcomes are as follows. They could make you sick, they could make you full, or they could potentially just live inside of you, hopefully in a symbiotic manner. Symbiotically means living together in a mutually beneficial relationship. For example, the bacteria in your stomach help you break down food, and in return, you feed the bacteria. There is anywhere from 500 to 1,000 different species of bacteria in our stomachs that help us break down food, produce vitamins, and prevent harmful bacterial species from colonizing and doing harm to our bodies. In any case, this is how the eukaryotic cell was formed, by cells consuming other cells. A eukaryotic cell has a membrane-bound nucleus where the DNA, or genes, live. All protists, fungi, plants, and animals are composed of eukaryotic cells. This change was critical because up to this point in time, evolution had been stalled for at least 1 billion years. Primitive bacteria used 2% of their energy to copy and maintain DNA, and 75% of their energy making proteins from DNA. So even if the bacteria had the information in their DNA to make features like a limb, they did not have the energy to do it. That is, until one bacteria ingested mitochondrial bacteria, and they ended up living together symbiotically. Mitochondria provide food or energy. Mitochondria contain as much energy per unit size as a lightning bolt. We know this happened because mitochondrial DNA is different from nucleic DNA. Also, the structure of mitochondrial DNA remains the same as the structure of bacterial DNA, being loops instead of linear feature. The same holds true for chloroplasts. Chloroplasts in plants serve the same purpose that mitochondria do in animal cells, only chloroplasts use carbon dioxide, water, and sunlight to make their energy or food for the cells, where mitochondria use oxygen. The way chloroplasts became incorporated into plant cells is analogous to mitochondria.